My name is Fred White. Chungukedi Hut, Kwan. I'm the Thunderbird clan from Dry Bay area. I was born and raised in Yakutat and raised by my grandparents there from a baby. So I've been fortunate enough to, I'm considered the youngest fluent speaker of Tlingit. So my grandfather, when he passed away, he was 86 years old when I was 7. And then I had another grandfather that just passed away in 2001. But my work in Tlingit started probably when I was a young man, probably about 6 or 7, when I learned to write, because we lived in commercial fishing grounds in the Seetuk River outside of Yakutat. And there was a train that used to come out there to pick up our fish, and we'd stay out there with my grandparents, and we'd order groceries from the company store. And my grandparents only spoke Tlingit, and so I had to make the grocery order out. So that was my first experience in translating Tlingit. And from 1982 to the present, I started out working with the Alaska Heritage Institute, or Foundation at the time. I worked there for 4 years. It was Richard and Nora Downhour. We did the first books, Ashika, Our Ancestors. And since then I've been working in the Tlingit language. But I remember when I started doing place names, when I was working there, I started recording my grandfather, who was 86 years old, because he was a Raven Koho clan of the Dry Bay area, and my great-grandfather was from Lituya Bay. His name was Lituya Bay George. So I remember started working with him using charts, but at the time he couldn't see very well. So I was going through these charts and pointing to the areas and trying to describe them, and he would give me the Tlingit names of the areas. But then I looked back at him later, where he was telling me didn't compare to because most Tlingit names were descriptive of the areas or something that happened there to a clan or an animal or some people that were moving through the territory. That's what a lot of the names came from. So later on, I worked with the Park Service when Wayne Howell came to Yakutat. They were doing the jukebox project. And I took the names that were there, so my voice, being able to read and write Tlingit that I learned at the Alaska Heritage Foundation with Nora Downhour, I was able to read the Tlingit and try to pronounce them correctly as I could. But even after that, speaking with the elders, I heard different pronunciations of the names. So even today, that a lot of my work I'm doing presently today too is like working here in Yakutat with, here in Juneau with Richard with Gold Belt Heritage Foundation, and I've done some work on the Juneau area's names, and I tried to pronounce them the best as I can. But like you said, there are very many elders left that can pronounce the names, or that can be recorded by. So I did my best on that, looking over them and listening in reels, and it'd be interesting to hear the audio of her and Cecilia Coons saying the Tlingit names of the area. But back in the day there, when we did the jukebox projects in Yakutat, where it's got almost 150 names, I believe, I did all of those names, and I know that back then it was pretty, we went to Fairbanks to do the final work on the recordings and documenting the words and putting them on the internet. And it was a big computer, probably as big as this wall. this screen here, a big reel of reels on it. Back then, that was only like, what, 20 years ago. Technology's changed so quickly, you know. And presently today, you know, I teach at Floyd Dryden Middle School to all the sixth graders each quarter. And so presently part of my lessons that I'm teaching them is the indigenous names of the Juneau area. And we're working on that there right now with Google Maps. So all you have to do is talk to the program, and it does, you know, it does what you want it to do. But at the same time, you know, I'm using the names that we've gathered from the books that are available to teach them the names. And currently we're working on a totem project in Gold Belt Heritage Foundation. Recently got a grant to do a totem pole project for the Douglas area where the village was. That was burned. So today we're looking for names, and right now we're researching the name of Douglas, and we've come across different names of that. And so even today, I'm fortunate enough to be able to speak Tlingit and to speak with a handful of elders that we do have, and I also have my recorder to make sure that I try to get the best pronunciations from them. I've listened to a lot of different things happening here at the clan conference, and there's a lot of different things that I should probably do a presentation on here one day, because my history comes all the way from Yakutat to Dry Bay, from probably as far north as the Copper River, all the way down to Dry Bay to the Tria Bay, is my grandparents' territory. And I hear a lot of different things going on, and I have a lot of history that my grandparents have shared with me, and even now that elders that keep to themselves and talk to me, a lot of information out there that should be brought out and recorded and passed on to the public to clarify a lot of place names and stories that go along with the areas. What's interesting is when we went to Dry Bay back in 2004, we did it was my birth presentation. I think it was 2011. We went down for the celebration, and there were about 150 people that came there. And we went out to on Bear Island. I brought up the suggestion because I remember when I was a little kid, we used to live across the river from Bear Island in Dry Bay. And the alder hadn't grown as high as it is now. But I remember seeing these stones that used to stick out of the ground. And it was a smaller hump beside it. But I remember hearing the story about that. That was when Raven beached a whale. A man and his dog were walking out there, and when Raven flew out of the whale, they turned to stone. So I suggested to everybody that we go out there, and it was the first time I ever seen it. It was back during that time in 2011. But looking at them, you know, it makes me, how they got the names, there was actually, it looks like a dog, the part next to it, the part that is shaped like an animal. You can go underneath its belly, and then there's the head part where people who crawl it down are standing on the head, and there's this other tall rock, as high as you can see, it's probably 50 feet tall. And then next to it is this dog. And then underneath the belly, you can walk under it. And what's amazed me with the names that I've come across is that how did they say that, you know, a lot of the places are named after body parts also, human body parts, like Admiralty Island. How did they get up above the earth and look down, you know, to name these places, to give them all these body part names, and you know, they're parts of animal names. That today, that still amazes me. And even the part when Wayne was talking about where Raven wiped his beak, you can go past there in a canoe those rocks falling down there would never hit you. They fall down around you and all around you, but they'll never hit you. And that's amazing. There's a lot of different things in our culture that are still around today that are still happening. So that's about where I have to go with this place name, but I'm excited to be teaching at Floyd Drive Middle School and teaching them the indigenous names of the area. And the majority of my students are not Tlingit or natives, but it's been pretty exciting. But it's also being recorded, and the students get to take a big part in naming this place and recognizing the indigenous people of the areas. Well,